All right, perfect.
Okay,
All right.
see.
All right, I'm
Now,
gonna
Louis,
head
I'm
off, guys. As long as everything's good, just let me know, Jim. I'll be here the whole time. So.
Yeah, we're going to try our best like this. Hey, now, and Louis, I'm going to just give a little brief introduction, and then we'll bring you, and then you'll be on.
You got it.
All right,
right.
thanks, guys.
Cool.
Have a good one.
Okay. Then.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Now, last podcast, we went a little out of the box with Dr. Jim Hart, talking about my 4 hours of lost time driving home. And I thought, well, let's really go out of the box today. Let's get somebody that's really into this and knowledgeable. And as everybody knows, I know a lot of doctors. I know a lot of celebrities. Like if I need something, I just make a phone call and I can get it done. And knowledge, the knowledge that I have surrounded me of all these amazing people. I'm just so blessed by knowing all these people. And the one I'm going to bring on right now, he is actually from the same town as Nostradamus in France. And Dr. Louis Turi and myself go back a long, long time. He's an astropsychologist, and he's been on Coast to Coast 4 times than myself. In fact, Louis, are you there? Louis, I think that's where we met, from George Norrie on Coast to Coast, and Tommy Tanhas. We were hanging out one night. Remember that?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
So, Louis, you know more about what you do. Tell everybody, what the heck is it? Like an astropsychologist? I know you're a clinical hypnotist. I mean, we
right.
Well with that in the past. So tell the guests, tell the listeners, what is an astropsychologist?
An astropsychologist is someone that is mingling traditional psychology with astrology, which is a reflection of the divine, or how God speaks to us through the sign of the zodiac. So basically, when you look at the 12 signs of the zodiac, what you're dealing with is 12 specific energy that are a representation of the 12 apostles, the 12 sin, the 12 jury, the 12 tribe of Israel, the 12 nodes, and so forth. Oh, I apologize about my phone. I got to turn it off. But it is far-fetched to the scientific community, which have a tendency to assume that astrology is a sort of science. So it's mixing up the very, very old science used by all disappeared civilization and the new scientific approach to the human mind.
Now, let me ask you something. Now, you grew up, you were raised in Provence, France. It's the same place, Nostradamus, because I read a lot about Nostradamus. Did anybody ever kid you, hey, maybe you're a reincarnation of Nostradamus? Did you ever get that?
I hear that all the time.
Oh, really?
I am the new Nostradamus. I'm the reincarnation of Nostradamus. I have nothing to do with Nostradamus apart from that I was born under the same stars, and I'm 70 years old today. I spent pretty much 35 years of my life rekindling his 16th century divine astrology methodology. That's what I use, quatrain, and I added keywords, because Nostradamus had to use a very blurry type of writing because he wanted to keep his head on his shoulder and make sure that the French Inquisition doesn't cut his head off. In my case, I use the quatrain that I create, and I add very obvious keywords. So for example, when I say be ready for an earthquake at 6 or above, that's the keyword you're going to read. Expect an earthquake at 6 or above magnitude on that day. The next thing you know, I sent an email to the Seismologist Institute in Pasadena, giving them 2 dates and be ready for earthquake above 7.0. And they got it, and I had the email. So I put the green when the mouth is, but those guys never ever bothered to answer me or try to investigate my methodology.
It's amazing too, because when I worked in a college market, I had to drive all around the country 1, 2, 3 in the morning, listening to Coast when Art Bell and then George Norrie took over. And you were always a guest on there, and I couldn't wait. Whenever they said, our guest tonight is Dr. Louis Turi, I'd always make sure I put it up louder and listen to it. You did some amazing, amazing predictions on that show that came true. I mean, some of the one prediction I think was so true that you actually had FBI come to your home and everything, thinking you were what? Tell everybody about that.
Well, yes, they came twice. I gave a very specific date for terrorist attacks And the next thing I know, two guys came in my door. They said, "Hey, are you Dr. Turi?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Can we come in?" "Yeah, come in." My God. They tell me who they were, and then they checked everything, my statue, my house, my green card. They say, "How the hell did you know that there were going to be an attack in Paris, and then two other later one in New York?" I said, "Well, I am, you may lump me with psychics, but I'm not a psychic. I'm a different scientist. I use a software that I have asked Alan Software in Los Angeles to work out for me, that reflects Nostradamus' divine astrology, knowing that, of course, the great prophet 500 years ago did not use a watch or a computer. I had to use the type of software that he used, the same methodology." So, and I told them and I showed them, I said, "This is how I do it." And they were looking at me like, "Oh my gosh." And then one of them was pretty skeptical of all this stuff. And then when I start to read those guys right in my office, they were just blown away. But they never picked up on the importance of my gift, so to speak, in predicting the future. That is because I mentioned UFOs. I should not have mentioned UFOs, but it's a long story. So, but I did that when it happened in France, and then when it happened in New York, and that brought another set of FBI agents in my house twice.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to know. And after I touched on with Dr. Jim Hart, I was telling him about I had this 4 hours of lost time coming home from upstate New York to Pennsylvania. And then I thought, well, I'm going to ask you. We haven't talked in a long time. It's been quite a few years since I talked to you, and I'm going to get your perspective on that, because don't you have a show right now on cable television about UFOs or something?
Well, I'm on the radio and on TV all over the place, but I also have my latest movies on Amazon Prime. Well, the good news is that when I asked the producer how that show was doing, they said over 200,000 hits in 1 month. So that was pretty good.
Great.
So it's just on Amazon, and you can get it also from my website, drturi.com. It's right there. You could click on the link and watch that movie. It's getting a hell of a lot of attention. It's just one of the most reviewed movie on UFOs on Amazon. So I'm pretty proud of the accomplishment. I didn't know it. That's well past my expectation. But I talk about 5 UFOs experience. And this did not include the last 2 that I went through last month. It's just totally mind-boggling. But again, that would be for another show.
I'm gonna have to talk about that with you on the phone privately.
You bet.
Hey, tell me. Okay, now you know my birth date, and we're not going to repeat it out loud for everybody. We don't want anybody to know what year I was really born. Now, what do you, in the psychology world, what do you see with me right now at this moment in my life?
Well, first of all, you're an Aries. You are ruled and controlled by a planet called Mars, which is called in Greek mythology also the Lord of War. That makes you very competitive. And Aries rules the head on the medical aspect of Nostradamus astrology. The head. So when you get upset, the blood comes to your head and it burns the root of your hair. This is why a lot of men are losing their hair, because they have a strong Mars energy. So Aries rule the head, meaning you're born a leader of the mind. You're all about the head, the starter, the new discovery. And you happen to be born, most importantly, and I'm pointed out upon the chart here so you can look at it. You were born with the head of the dragon in the sign of Aquarius, and Einstein was born with this dragon. This means anything to do with the future, anything to do with things that are mind-boggling, anything to do with magic, anything to do with the extraordinary, the future of humanity, UFO technology, your head of the dragon is in this sign. And that's why you are right now on TV, because Aquarius rules television and the genius side of the human experience. So you're in a good hand as far as your stars are concerned. Right now, you have the head of the dragon as of May the 15th entering the sign that has entered the sign of Gemini. And if you count 3 from April, May, June, the head of the dragon is your your mind. The head of the dragon is in the world of communication, transportation, writing, talking, expressing your views. So the dragon is going to be on your side for about 18 years. And that is probably one of the reasons why you may have at the subconscious level decided to start your own broadcast. It's set and written in light in the stars.
That's absolutely amazing. Wow. And I'm a big fan of Einstein. It's like my idol. I read a lot about him, and that's just that's an honor just to be in the same, what do you call it? The same what?
Same dragon, the same celestial, the same UCI, unique celestial identity. So your UCI is similar as the one of Einstein.
That's fabulous. Wow. So now let me ask you a question then. Like, so now I know you do a lot of, you have a lot of your clients, without mentioning names, you have a lot of celebrity clients and things like that. And I know one of them I could mention because he's coming on the podcast in another week. And that's Gary Busey.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out with you and Gary in Las Vegas, and you came to my show at Arizona State University, and he's amazing. I can't wait to have him on. He's going to be a lot of fun. So what do you see? So, because I know Gary really truly believes in you, man. I mean, he gave you those endorsements on your site and everything else.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so you're really having a good time with this. It's I mean, I know you're so long, and you've been pretty spot on, and I never believed in it. I was like a skeptic, but you're pretty spot on, and I don't know how you're doing what you do. So you're saying it's all in the stars, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, this is God cosmic immaculate design, and I even predict COVID-19, and that was last August. And I talk about a universal infestation back in 2015. So I predict Katrina on the air on coast to coast. I predict 9/11 a year before it happened in all the details. But you know, the beauty of being on your show is that you're offering me a platform for the skeptics to go and investigate my work, because it's all printed, it's all dated, and it's all published. Then anybody can do what I do. Don't get me wrong. It's a matter of education. You don't believe in astrology. It's not a religion. It's a science. It has been cast aside because knowledge is power, ignorance is evil. And again, if you go to drturi.com, you're going to see the picture of the popes being taught astrology by the Vatican Council. And I'm sure you heard of J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan wrote, you know, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. So there is a lot that's involving the old science that was used by all these disappeared civilization, the Mayan, the Incas, the Sumerian, and they used to build their monuments, their pyramid facing specific constellation for very specific mystical purpose. And it does work. But again, you know, in the name of science or religion, for that matter, the beauty of astrology has been cast aside. And that's what brings the huge chaos that we're experiencing in the world today.
You know, I'm going to tell you something too, and to the listeners out there. I always wanted to do a program, and I still may, and call it The Real Deal. And we tried to put something out like this 2 years ago on, I'm not going to mention the network, and we got really close to getting it on the air, and it got beat out by Stan Lee Superhumans. And the show was going to be called Purely Mental, and it was going to be me traveling around the world in search of people with extraordinary abilities. And some of the research that we did for the show, there are some people out there that are doing things that, man, you could fool me. I mean, it's almost like when I have Mike Super, the magician, and Teller fool me. This is different. This isn't magic. There are people out here that have some real true abilities, and that's what we talked about the last time we were together. And trust me, I am the biggest skeptic. And Dr. Louis Turi is one guy that when I tried to bust him, I couldn't do it. I mean, it's astrology stuff. There's something to it. It's like my daughter messes around with the tarot cards, and I don't know how she does it. She really truly believes in what she's doing. See, there are people that truly believe in what they're doing, and then there are other people, as we know, they're into it for the money, and they're charlatans, and they try to. But you're one of these guys that you truly believe in what you're doing, and that's what I respect and admire about you. And have you on here is like really cool, because I have to know. I want to know the truth. I have to know these answers, Louis.
Exactly. I got you.
Like, what happened to me? Why is my brain, like, why am I able to do all this crap? You know what I mean? I worked at a steel mill. And what happened with those 4 hours of lost time? I have to know these answers.
Yeah.
And that's why I seek out people like you. And I'm so honored and blessed to have friends that I can call up for the answers. You know what I mean? It's like really cool.
Well, you know, you talk about superhuman, and I was on that show. I was also with William Shatner on this show. But you know what? The essence of the truth is what that's what is really needed. Because, like you mentioned earlier, there is a lot of people doing this type of work, and then suddenly enough, they don't have the information or the correct information for that matter. And people are lumping me with psychic. I'm not saying that psychic is not real. What's not real is the people. A lot of people who pretend to be psychics. What I'm trying to say, because there is such a power. What I teach my students is that the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thought. In fact, if you look at the technology you have in front of you, the car you drive, the watch you use, anything around you, once upon a time, it did not exist. And that included New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Paris, France. Everything once upon a time was not, and it is. So humans are slowly but surely bringing to themselves more cosmic awareness, more cosmic consciousness, in realizing that they are more than blood, bone, and nerves. We have power inherited. It's written in light in our charts. We have gifts, and many of those gifts are dormant. They're sleeping. And when I meet a person on Skype or on Zoom, and I delegate that person, I point out the strengths and the weaknesses of what God has given them before they are incarnate on this dense physical world. It's absolutely mind-boggling, and it's very real. And I do understand why this type of information, again, is cast aside and ridiculed, because it gives a hell of a lot of power to the people who have mastered the science. I'm one of those.
Now, let me ask you something. I hope you don't mind me getting into this. You're also a cancer survivor.
Correct.
Tell me about that. I heard that you had, and I didn't want to like bother you at the time, but could you tell everybody about that a little bit, how you overcame that?
Well, you know, any disease comes from a blockage. That's the rule. Anyone, any type of disease. And what happened is after 12 years of marriage, it was pretty tough for me to let go of that relationship. I was crying, I was depressed. So I was ultra negative. And again, a magnet will attract a piece of wood. When you're negative, you involve forces that you're not conscious of that interact and mess up your atomic structure or open the doors to cancer. So I was lecturing in Bangkok. And then that night, I went to an Indian restaurant, and I came back and said, "Whoa, something is wrong here. Burn. So I went to the bathroom and I saw, oh my God, some blood. I thought, oh, whoa, hemorrhoid. So I'm going to be checked the next day because I'm here for 2 weeks, and then the dollar was pretty high. So we might as well just go visit the hospital. And they told me, no, Dr. Turi, you got cancer. Oh. And they said to me, you can't wait. You have to do it right here or right now. Because depending on how it evolves, you might just playing with your life. So the very next 2 or 3 days, I was there, and they did the surgery on me. And they saved my butt. Literally, they cut a good chunk of my guts. They saved me, the worst of this surgery. And then when everything was done, said and done, they said to me, you got to go through x-ray, through chemotherapy. I said, you know what, this is something that I will not do. They said to me, if you don't do that, it might come back. Instead, I became more spiritual, because, you know, when you're facing your mortality, you're going to go through a hell of a lot of emotion that cannot be explained on your show to nobody. You got to go through it yourself. You cry, you're depressed, you don't want to die, you miss your mom, your dad, your dog, your wife, you miss everything, and you don't want to die, and you cry. It's really, really, really bad when you wake up in the morning and you know that you have cancer. So I told him, no, instead, I become more spiritual after the surgery, and something told me to go to a shopping center, and I went there. Looking for my answer. Instead of using chemotherapy, what am I going to do? I landed on the vegetable area, and I saw a lot of roots and a lot of vegetable that I never touched. I didn't even know they existed. I bought all that, and I went home. I juiced everything. I put some honey, and I drank it for weeks at a time. Cancer was gone. Never came back. I call it universal blood transfusion.
Man, that's like, I truly, and what you just talked about in those 5 minutes, that's all I tell everybody. ESPN, exercise your brain and your body. P for positive, positive, positive thinking. Like you said, the negativity could bring that stuff, right? The S is for proper sleep, and like you just hit on the last one, N for nutrition. This ESPN.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's funny because now you have, in reference to COVID-19, they are all working really hard to build that, to make that vaccine. They're spending billions of dollars. And guess what, Jim? That's not going to work. You have a human system. That's the goal, the golden beauty of being human. You have the power that no scientist can duplicate. So again, if you follow the rules that you just mentioned, okay, with these 4 letters, you don't need a vaccine. I don't think you actually need a vaccine. In fact, the vaccine might do more damage than anything else, because you're bringing foreign matter into your body. God knows what they put on that vaccine. I'd rather stay in nature. Most of all, remember, magnets, the golden rules. A magnet will not attract a piece of wood. If you're positive, if you have no fear, if you exercise, if you have a good diet, if you keep that attitude, okay, there is no way that you're going to become a victim of this virus. Of course, if you wear a mask, or if you keep the distance, that will add to the equation. Don't get me wrong.
I totally believe all of that.
It's all about being positive.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of research now because that's what I do, Like I researched the brain. Since you knew me last, I studied the brain because I'm trying to find out how I memorize all these things. But now I've been studying the cellular structure of the body and this ESPN, exercise your brain and body, proper sleep, positive thinking, nutrition. It seems to work for that. They're talking about it now, about the T cells and the things like that, the killer T cells in your body. And then how you can build that up with proper nutrition and positive thinking. It's amazing. And T cells, as you know, maybe that's how you help yourself with the cancer, by that positive attitude and the nutrition that makes you your killer T cell. That's what I've been studying. It's like really weird. All this stuff sitting right in front of us, and we never knew this. And so I truly believe in that as well. I really do.
And then you have to keep in mind that during the time of Nostradamus, he used to fight the plague, and he used a lot of oregano oil. He used all sorts of elements that he found in flowers, and he was still able to beat the virus, even though that a lot of people died, and he never caught it. That's amazing, and he was very close to these people. He didn't wear a mask. So that tells you that the attitude and tapping on the power that was given to you by the Creator is worth a million times better than any vaccines. It's just as simple as that.
I totally, wow. Hey, so, okay, talking about what do you see with COVID? I mean, I'm going to look at.
Yep.
I have a lot of people that aren't coming through, and that's why I'm doing the podcast. I'm trying to get out virtually. Like, in fact, like Mike Super and myself talked about doing a virtual tour, but I would like to come to places virtually and talk about what I do. But what do you see? Do you see this ending this year? Or is it
No. First of all, this
don't tell me more than a year. Oh my gosh, I don't.
No, it's going to be at least. But in order to understand what's going on here, I might have to bring you a little bit more into my world. Last couple of years, the tail of the dragon, which is a negative energy from the universe. I don't want to go past that. Make it easy for you guys. Unless you want to spend a week with me and 7 hours a day to build up your cosmic consciousness, I have to use very simple terms. So the negative dragon last couple of years was in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. Now, Capricorn rules a large structure, the government, the politician, the snob, the Illuminati. He rules England. He rules old people. Capricorn rules also large corporations. And you can see when the tail of the dragon was cruising through this sign last 2 years, what he brought to us. He brought, of course, as England is controlled by this sign, Brexit, then the royal, because Capricorn rules the snob, the rich, the powerful. You can see what happened with this country and the royal. Also, you can see what happened with our government shutting down. And then President Trump being impeached, you can see and you know that currently there are a lot of politicians that are rotting in jails. So the negative energy of this dragon has also killed a lot of old people. So that was the last 2 years. And as of May the 15th, this nasty Saturnian dragon has changed into a Jupiterian dragon. So the energy are now different. They are aiming for those who have a strong Jupiter. Now, Jupiter rules Latino people. Jupiter rules the Indians. Jupiter rules the law. Jupiter rules higher education, college, university. That's why you can't send your kids to college anymore. Jupiter rules also the Black community. Jupiter rules anything and everything to do with religion. So now the curse and the dark energy coming from those stars are affecting this area of the human experience. And it just started in May, and it's going to go all the way to 18 months. Then after that, the worst of the worst, and I wish I had much better news for you, Jim, but after that,
Get worse.
It's going to get worse. Yes, the tail of the dragon, or the Plutonic energy, will run the world. Okay, and that means a complete restructure of financial institution. A lot of large corporations are going to go belly up, and of course, this energy controls Russia. This is the energy of life and death. Russia is controlled by Pluto, and that's why the USSR died, because this energy was also reincarnation, rebirthing, and control the Russian. So it was also the FBI, the CIA, and the police. That's why everything is already moving on that direction. So I'm kind of worried about Russia and the United States. And this energy is all about dying and rebirthing. But out of all this misery, there is going to be a new energy blessing the United States. But first, we have to go through this karmic negative energy. And if you now think you are under stress and there is death, you wait until this energy is going to reach us. But the rebirthing process will be what will bring America to where it belongs, right at the top. America was born with the same dragon than you. And that's why we're so fantastic in building technology. We went on the moon. America is also prone to nuke attacks. And you can see the sudden release of energy coming from the world of Aquarius. Pearl Harbor, surprise, the sudden attack on Pearl Harbor, surprise, a shocking attack in 9/11 with airplanes. So America is prone to this type of negative development that could lead into responding to a nuke or using nukes. But let's hope we don't get there. I don't see it just yet. But we still have to go through this type of energy first. There's a lot of rebirthing taking place.
Where do you see all of this at? Like, how do you?
It's like me asking you, Jim, how the hell do you have such a beautiful, unbelievable, incredible, mind-boggling memory? You got it. It's your gift. It's what God gave you. And then God gave me that gift to help those who are willing and able to use my cosmic wisdom appropriately. That's all there is. Now,
it's scary because I've seen a lot of your stuff come through, and it scared the heck out of me right now.
Well, first of all, you don't want to be scared. It's part of the movement. There is a clock. Life is a constant process of changes. The news are constantly repeating themselves when they come under a specific window. This is why I use SOS to the World Deadly Window and give specific data of what's going on, and I give you all the detail to the quadrant and the keywords. This is what I do on the Cosmic Code, which is my other website. And I have about thousands of people.
I went on that site. That's a pretty cool site. I love that site. That's really
well. I'm going to get you an invitation to this to the Cosmic Code. You're going to enjoy it. That's for sure.
Well, I don't want to put you on a spot here, but how about we have a big presidential election coming up in November?
Okay.
Well, see anything, or what do you?
Well, I tell you what. A day before President Trump got elected, I did his stars, and everything that you experiencing today, 5 years later, took place. All you got to do is go and either Google President Trump, Dr. Turi, or just go to my website to one of my newsletters and click on the link of our President's Stars and Fate. But a day before he got elected, all that I predict every single thing that's going on in the United States right here, right now. It's pretty scary, including the COVID-19.
What do you see? Is he going to do? Is he going to win again, or
if the Russians manage to interfere, they will put him in power again.
And I don't usually go political on here, but you do predict. You're very accurate with your predictions, and everybody wants to know who's going to be the next president. And
Well, I tell you, he's a duel. The chance of him being reelected are pretty high, especially if the Russian again interfere through technology. And you can see it's already, the FBI is already on guard because it is actually taking
they're going
place.
to come after you again.
I don't. And the good news is that within 2 or 3 years from now, we will know the reality of ETs and extraterrestrials and UFOs.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, there is a serious wake-up call coming to.
I know this is a huge study. This astrology. My gosh, I mean, I looked up. I tried getting into it. I gave up. It's just so much, so involved, and the knowledge you have. How many years have you studied this? How many years?
As I said, I'm 70 years old, and I remember my friends, 15 and 16 years old, sun sign. I have absolutely no memory. I don't remember people's face, the telephone, the direction, but I can tell you every single person that I met all my life, their sun sign.
Wow. Hey, we're talking about signs, and we have my young producer, Brandon. Are you there? Could you pop on a second, Brandon?
Yes, I'm here. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Brandon, how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Oh my God, to be 22 again.
Oh my God.
What do you see in this guy's future? He's all eager. He's helping me out with the podcast, him and Ryan. And what do you see in his future? What do you?
Well, first of all, what is your date of birth again? June? June. Okay, yeah. Well, June. Okay, all right. So you're in the element now. Those born in June are called in Greek mythology the messengers of the god. Art Bell, George Norrie were born in June, and that's why they are on the radio. They are communicating. Our president was born in June. God wants those born in June to shine through their spoken word, their printed words, so they are talking machines, so to speak. They are into the world of communication. And I'm looking at his head of the dragon. His head of the dragon is in the sign of Virgo, which means he has a very strong sense of detail. He's fussy, he's picky, he's detail-oriented. He has an aptitude for anything and everything that is obviously software, because Virgo rules the tiny little thing in organization. And that means also health in many ways. I can see you have artistical talent, okay? And I have a quick question for you. Do you like water, or are you afraid of water?
I like water.
All right, because the tail of the dragon is in Pisces. Pisces rules the water, so just be cautious around water. This tail is controlled by Neptune, so be careful with your friend who use drugs, pot, anything and everything that is chemical. You have a negative reaction, and you could also, in the process, develop a form of addiction to anything that is negative. So stay away, stay on the head, which is health, which is green, which is plant, which is nature, which is health, exercise, and you will maintain the incredible youth. As a Gemini, you have two lives in one. I have the moon in Gemini, I have the hidden dragon in Gemini, and this is why at 70 years old, I don't look my age. So we have two lives in one. That's the beauty of being a Gemini. Your stars are set where you're probably going to end up in movies in this lifetime. You can well, you're laughing.
Well,
And you also have the moon in Sagittarius.
If I told you what I went to school for, you wouldn't believe it.
Tell me.
I went to school for film. I went to school. I'm a videographer. I'm big on the moving.
Well, there you go.
Cinematography. So
yeah. Well, that's basically your 10th house. If you count to 10 June, including June, you will end up in Pisces. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, Pisces, 10th house. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is called the imagination and creativity, and it rules the cinematographic industry, it rules photography, it rules anything that is into the spirit. So you're highly spiritual. You're a terminal. This is your last life. Do you like animals or not?
I do like animals.
You have the moon in Sagittarius. You're probably going to reside in a foreign country. You're probably going to end up marrying a foreign person. I can see that, a very powerful person that will be connecting with you. Now, do you get headaches or sinuses? Just a question.
Honestly, no. I actually do pretty well with headaches. No. Okay,
this is good because you're still very young. Saturn is in Aries, so you're accident prone on the head. So be cautious when you do movies, because you going to be in places that could be a little bit dangerous or a little bit risky. So wear a helmet,
Okay.
put it this way. Okay. I can tell you that you have high philosophical values, you're highly spiritual, you're very, very creative. Right now, as of May the 15th, 2020, the head of the dragon has moved into the sign of Gemini. So within a couple of years, you should land on some serious contract or getting married or in and out of a relationship. This is the stars are on your side, at least for the next 18 months. Make the most, my friend. That's a very short reading, but that's what I can do in the air.
Fantastic.
Make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's amazing news. I love to hear it. Thank you for your time and for reading me. I appreciate it.
Wow, that's definitely my blessing. Just be cautious around water and don't put stress on your feet. Something else. Okay.
Where does that come from? The water and where does that come from? I don't get that.
Watch, the tail of the dragon is in Pisces. Pisces was the water element. He's lucky on exotic place, on island. He's going to visit.
You know where the tail of the dragon is all the time without looking at a sheet? You probably have it memorized in your head.
No, everybody is a universe on its own. When you give me your date of birth, it allows me to print this. This is your UCI. This is a map of your life. It tells me all about you, the good and the bad, your sins and virtue, even how you're gonna die. It tells me everything.
It's a very interesting subject, this astrology stuff. I really think it's really interesting because they've been studying it as long as mankind. People have been. How about Nostradamus himself? Is he an astrologist? Or?
Of course, he was called the star lover by his mate when he was studying medicine in Montpellier in France. Everybody around him was ridiculing him because he was into the stars. You'll be amazed who is into the stars. And he was born in December. And so his soul's purpose is represented by a horse, a man, a bow, an arrow, or the sign that represent the Indians, where you have the tail of the dragon right now. That's why all the Indians are suffering viruses. But the horse represented the soul's purpose to constantly move around, to travel the world. The man, the bow, and the arrow represent the aiming for the stars or God's cosmic structure. And then from there, from the wisdom, use it to heal people using all sorts of natural meaning in the stars.
So a lot of his predictions that came true were based on the same stuff you're doing, astrology.
Well, you know what? The father of medicine himself says, a physician cannot call himself a physician if he does not study the stars. That is from the father of modern medicine. I can't remember his name now, but it's on my website. You can see the quote. But, when it comes to people have a UCI, if you're born with a very earthy, rational UCI, under the energy into Taurus, Capricorn, these are very earthy. So you're not going to be allowed to enter the archetypal realm of supracosmic consciousness. You're going to be naturally led to science. You're going to be skeptical. You're going to turn yourself into an atheist, and that can dance on my head. You do not have the stars. It's pretty much like asking somebody to duplicate Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was born with the stars to do what he did. Einstein, you, me, anybody listening to that show right now has a set of stars that is depicting their fate. So instead, if you UCI is too rational or it's too Neptunian, now there are people that have a chart that is too fluid. So these people are more into the codification of thought. They're going to go and follow one of the 875 different religions out there because they don't know better. They just do not know better. They don't understand that astrology is a reflection of the 12 signs of the zodiac, of the 12 apostles, the 12 scenes, the 12 jury, the 12 hours of the day, the 12 months of the year, the 12 notes of music. So they haven't been trained and they have been indoctrinated either by science or religion. And in between there goes astrology. which gives you that reunified. When you look, for example, at religion, people will kill you. I mean, look at ISIS. If you don't support their caliphate, they're going to do horrible things to you. They're going to kill you. So religion has killed more people than all the disease, all the natural disasters, and all the war combined together. But regardless of what race you are or where you are in the world, you have a sun sign, you have a moon sign, you have a rising, you have a dragon's head, hidden or natal, you have your set of stars. So that allows people to unify it. That's why your head of the dragon in Aquarius was astrology, humanitarianism, the future of humanity, the impossible, the incredible, including the UFO phenomenon. So if the world master astrology, and if that science is reintegrated in our college, university, and be accepted as a solid discipline, we are going to stop suicide, we're going to stop school shootings, we're going to stop drama. In terms of school shooting, which is important because I work very much for the kids, a child has to swallow 2,000 years of human evolution. So you're going to teach your kid geography, you're going to teach the art, science, you're going to teach language, you're going to teach everything to that kid. But who is there to teach that child who he is? What is his immaculate conception coming from the universe? Nobody's teaching that child. And the child is not regenerating. The next thing you know, he gets depressed. He doesn't know where to go. And he becomes nasty, he becomes negative, he becomes infected by the reptilians, and he get a machine gun, he go and kill everybody and he kill himself. That's why, unless this science is reestablished in our college university, as I said earlier, accepted as a solid discipline, nothing's going to stop. This world's going to go through a total nightmarish situation.
Dr. Turi, everybody. Well, I hope, Louis, you've been right on a lot of things. I hope you're wrong on this last one, but let's see what happens. It's hey man, I'm a positive guy. You know me. I'm all about positive energy.
You got to. But you know there is a higher order, and my mission is to translate it. I can tell you what you want to hear. You know, I can. For example, you can test me right here, right now. In 3 days from now, we're going to have a plutonic energy. Okay, and you're going to see how the police. They're going to kill people. They're going to be killed. Drama, crazy people are going to be killing each other. There's a high possibility for terrorist attack. Again, let's hope the FBI don't visit me. But in 2 or 3 days from now, you're going to watch the news and you're going to see the amount of negativity which is going to plague the world. That is not me wanting that to happen. It's just a cycle, and it's coming in 3 days from now. We're going to see the upsurge of negative news with the police, with people fighting the cops, with cops being killed or killing people. In fact, George Floyd was killed into the same negative energy that I mentioned that is coming in 3 days. And when you do something during this window, it lasts for you. If you do not know the power of this energy, whatever you say, whatever you do during this time is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. It will change your life. And in that case, it changed the life of the United States. That specific window is coming back in 3 days. Watch the news.
I hope you're wrong. Now, give everybody, what is today's date? And we're going to check it out. What is today's date?
Today we are the 26th, okay? Well, we already entered it, I'm sorry. It's starting as of tomorrow, the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. There you go. It's just, I give you this date right now because people have a short memory. So this energy, we are moving in right now. So this show is actually being made into that energy. This means this show is going to be a wake-up call for millions of people that are going to listen to it. We are into that plutonic energy right here, right now. So whatever you say, whatever you do during that day will follow you for the rest of your life. So this show has this plutonic signature, and it's going to go a long way. And it's going to give a lot of wake-up call to people. And it's going to get stronger within tomorrow and after tomorrow. We're just at the early beginning. I'm glad we did that show into that energy because the potential is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I believe in energy, but the energy from your perspective is much different from the energy of mine. So let's see what happens.
No, Jim, is the same.
Same energy, yeah.
It's the same energy. You cannot have a day without a night. You cannot have a front without a back, a God without a devil. You cannot have a yin without a yang. So energy is both positive and negative. Okay, I want to stimulate the positivity at all time, believe me. But at the same time, you have been taught to respect man's physical laws. You see the red light in the street, the stop sign in the street, you stop. These are the physical laws written by men. That include the Bible. Now, God never came down and wrote no books. Now, on the other side of my hand, because nobody taught you about the mystical laws that I'm discussing with you today, it doesn't mean they don't exist or they are not real. So if you, in the name of skepticism or God knows what, you refuse to understand those laws, you're going to pay the penalty. So that is my mission, to make you aware of the positive and the negative and allow you to use the part of God in you, which is stronger than all that, and to apply your will. You have a will. Okay, you can say, yes, I'm going to work for the light. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to promote education like you do. Or no, I'm going to be a criminal. I want to be part of a gang. I want to kill people. I want to be negative and work for the darkness. It's all about positive, negative. That's why you have two eyes, two arms, two legs, two sides of the brain, and you are influenced by the good it is and the bad it is right in the conception of your mind. So bringing something new to your world, of course.
Well, as I said in the beginning of the show, we were going to go out of the box today. Boy, did we go out. With Dr. Louis Turi, I couldn't think of anybody else to go further out of the box than you. And like I said, you're very, very, you are, in my opinion, the Nostradamus of today. And I hope you are wrong here, because I want my podcast to be successful, but I don't want the negativity. I don't like that.
No. Well, I know.
I'm all about love and peace and positive. And
so when I warn people about those energy, you cannot kill the messengers here. You know, you have the good
you
extraterrestrial.
believe, like Art Bell used to believe, that if everybody thinks positive, you could put a stop to all of that stuff. Like,
Oh, of course, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. But you know, you have to remember, you have the positive. You have a dozen and dozen of extraterrestrials in our solar system. Okay, but there is only the good and the bad one. Okay, so the good extraterrestrial, no, the bad extraterrestrial or the draconic stimulate the left side of your brain. Okay. Stimulate the mind of scientists to create nukes, to weaponize the weather, to create viruses, to kill. They can only survive in dark matter. They can only survive with negativity, like fleas on the dog. The more you're negative, the more you're insecure, the more you're going to feed those entities in dark matter, because they are working for evil. On the other side, now you have the draconis, the good extraterrestrial, that stimulate the mind of people like you to do magical things, stimulate the mind of people that create beautiful song, beautiful music, to create artwork, to be positive, to educate. You constantly battling those energy. People are looking for UFOs everywhere. They're already in your head. It's a psychical thing. And then you seem to have been blessed because you heard of the dragons in Aquarius and it's positive. You seem to have a direct contact with the draconis, which allow you to do things that are completely out of the ordinary, pretty much like me. Because if you don't have that Aquarius energy, a magnet will attract a piece of wood. You're never going to be able to attract any UFOs experiences unless you build a talisman. But everybody has Aquarius in his chart. There is reasons for everything, including Travis Walton. One of the reasons why he got electrocuted in the mountain of Arizona next door here. Yeah. Let me explain to you. If you are into UFO and you want to attract extraterrestrial, first you have to look at two metal, gold and steel. What's the difference between those two metal? Gold is the tears of the sun. That's what the Indians said. Okay, gold will never rust. Gold is something that you offer somebody because it shows pure love, pure attention. It's beautiful. You can distract it. You can't. It's positive. The opposite of gold is steel. Okay, it rusts. And what do you do with steel? You build weaponry, tank, machinery, gun, bullets. Okay, so once you understand these two energy, you might understand what happened to Travis Walton. Travis Walton was born with the moon in Aquarius. Like, I'm loaded with Aquarius, you're loaded with Aquarius, so we attract this, and the original. He was driving in a truck with his friends. The truck was loaded with tools. And it's Arizona, so everybody wears his gun, okay? He had hatchets, he has a machine to cut those trees, and then he saw that that UFO. He was not invited. He's an Aries like you. Aries tend to act on impulse. They tend to move. They think later. That's why he's the baby of the zodiac who learn by mistakes when they're not advanced enough. So he went into under that flying saucer. He was not invited. Okay, and all this negative energy with the steel produced a lightning. He got electrocuted by the reptilians. Luckily for him, the draconis, which are constantly around, I call them the gardeners of this world. Okay, they created this world. Now, the draconis saw what happened, and it took them 3 or 4 days to put him back together and put him back somewhere alive. So he died on that day, and he was put back alive by the draconis. There's a lot of information. Well, last time I was working with Travis, I was in a cruise in Mexico, and I spoke to him. I said, Travis, you know what? When you went through that electric shock, if there is an area that really hurt, what was it? He says, Louis, my head. Aries was the head. Taurus, the neck. Gemini, the hands, the arms. Leo, love, your heart. Cancer, food, your stomach. Intestines, Virgo, the elimination principle. Sex, Scorpio, all the way down to Pisces, your feet, on the medical aspect of astrology. So I already knew that his head was going to be the target, and he got hit in the head. So, I'll tell you information that are well past the norm, Jim. And I know you can relate to me because you're unique, you're a special guy, and you vibrate at my cosmic speed. That's why I'm in your show. You will not attract somebody that does not vibrate at your cosmic speed. It's the law. Now, in time and space, when we first met, we were friends. We were having fun with Gary. We went on that cruise. We had an incredible time. And right now, we are back together because he's part of the celestial design. He's part of God's will for us to reconnect, because now your mission is to pass on information at a higher level, and you're doing it. No accident, though.
Dr. Louis Turi, thank you so much for being on today, Louis. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're looking great for beating cancer and being 70. You're looking really good.
Thank you, my brother.
Absolute pleasure having you on. We'll see you again. Take care, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. Bye-bye, my good friend. Bye.
All right, hang in there, Louis. We're going to talk some more.
All right.
For all the technical difficulties, that ended up being an awesome podcast.
Okay.
I told you it was going to be
I
special.
just want to do the intro over again, though, if I can, because I think I screwed up a little bit in the beginning there.
I don't think so. Wow, anyway, it was good for me.
Like when I'm talking to everybody, hey, my guest today, I want to do that over, or unless it looks good, you let me know when you see it later on.
Yeah. So what we can do is, even when Louis heads off, we can give it another shot, and I'll just use whichever one I think works better. So,
yeah,
he doesn't even have to be on.
No, I mean, just the intro for me. Like when I'm ready to get up, I said, Louis, are you out there? Because that's where we can start the podcast. When I say, Louis, are you out there? When he comes on. So before his first appearance, whatever I said there, I think I started through it. But
you went too fast. You ran into the intro. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
I think that in other words, we could do that without any interruption because of Louis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So
when Louis came on, everything was great. But it's what I said before he came on. When I was looking up at the camera, last week I had Dr. Jim Hart. We went out of the box, but now I'm going to really remember like that. Whatever I said there, I'd like to see it again before I.
It's all good, Jim.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't even need Louis on to redo that. That's just for.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But the sound sounded pretty good and everything, even without the stupid mic and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, sound was great. Everything.
Yeah, I heard you loud and clear all along.
I didn't do this on the air, but let me tell you, because I didn't think it was. What's the word I'm looking for? Conducive to do, because we were talking serious, and this is just something I do now. Look at Louis. I don't know if you can see these cards. Could you see them?
Yeah, I can see those cards.
Now watch. We're going to mix them up. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to mix up the cards.
Are you taping this, Brandon?
We're still rolling. Yep.
Okay, go ahead. You keep taping.
Maybe we'll put this on.
We're going to have fun. Right? Go ahead.
Right. So now, Louis, we'll start up. I'm going to show you these cards now. Can you see them? I don't know how good you can see these. Right? Now we're going to mix them up like this. Right? And I'm going to go through the cards one at a time from one hand to the other like this.
Okay.
The top card is going to be the one. You stop me at any top card that your little heart desires. You just let me know when.
Okay. This one.
This one right here?
Yes.
You sure?
Positive.
And then you could have stopped me at any one of the cards. I'm going to put it right here.
Okay.
Okay. Now look. Let's do a card trick.
Okay, Jim.
Would you guess the card Louis picked?
I believe it is the 10 of spades.
Oh my God.
Isn't that
Jim,
cool, Louis?
how the hell do you do that? Okay,
Just stop by, and they're all regular cards. You could have stopped at any one of these. You could have stopped at any one of these. There's no other tennis.
this is crazy. Okay,
What I'm doing now is, and I'm including technology in my stuff.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Let me do this one for you. Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
there is 2-pack.
All right.
All right. Now, I want you, in your mind, without telling me, I want you to give me a number between 1 and 10.
All right. I got it. Should I tell you it or no?
Yeah, tell me.
5.
Was that the first number that came to your mind?
Yes.
5.
Yep.
Then it doesn't work.
Oh my God. What the heck was that?
I got you. I got you. I got you.
That won't be on the air.
No,
We'll cut that part.
that was playing with your head, Jim.
Oh, we should put that on. That's pretty cool.
I was just playing with your head.
I know.
I know
Leave
you know,
the magic up to me.
like,
I'll do the magic.
you know,
You do the real stuff.
like all Aries, you like to say jokes, right? So I just wanted to give you a little joke.
Oh, look at that. Look at my picture.
Up, where are you? What happened?
That's I'm still here, but my picture it went off because I slammed the table. Hold on, let me get it. We're not rolling anyway, so it says it cannot start video. Son of a gun.
Again. Are you touching something?
No, it's my